Oh my goodness gracious. Look at the flowers on there. It has an area, a very sweet area effect.
This section to be able to be removable if you wanted more of a strapless option. If you wanted to, you could just wear it like as a strapless gown if that's more your speed.
This is beautiful. This is just beautiful. Thank
I'm
you for
so
doing
happy.
things like that because it's very touching.
Of course. There's a photo of you where you're holding a sketch and you're like in the photo and there's all your drawings behind you, and I'm thinking about you as a younger person and drawing these out and imagining what it would be like to wear these, and then I'm making them. It feels just, I feel very connected to you while I'm making these.
Made me feel very, very happy in so many ways because of the fact that you're thrifting, you're sewing, you're giving people inspiration. All of these bits and pieces are all very touching. So thank you for all of those.
Thank you.
Sweetheart.
The little neck piece, I did raise it. In your sketch, it goes a little bit lower, and that's not so much a creative choice on my end. That was more so I ran out of fabric choice on my end. So,
but you know what?
Shorter.
It's in looking at the fabric and it's looking at the design and thinking, how can I do a little bit of a, transition here? And I think that's a nice thing to be able to do.
Thank you. And then the only part of the dress that is not repurposed, pink flowers, I just got off of Amazon because I could not find a pink flower that matched this specific
Well, those
pink.
Certainly do match.
So it was very difficult. And when you're online shopping, you can't quite see the color. So I was staring at the picture like, is that the right, will that be the right pink? But I think it turned out pretty cute.
It really did.
And I think that the flowers definitely add something to the whole look.
And I believe that you said you sewed them all by hand.
I did, yeah. I placed them and then I sewed them all by hand. I don't know if it's perfectly even. When I was cutting them, I put one in one pile, one in one pile, one in one pile.
I think I like the fact that you kind of balanced some of the larger, smaller, and you have it looking, it has an area, a very sweet area effect. I have a question for you. What appealed to you about that design?
You kind of do this optical illusion where you have one color going down the center, and then you'll have a secondary color going out around the hips.
That's true. That's true. On some of the things that I drew, I have to admit that you caught that.
And I made a design last August that was similar in nature. Actually, it's some of the same fabric that I used. So it was similar in nature. I really liked that design. I didn't like the way I necessarily executed the design, but I liked your drawing and I liked the design. So I thought I would give it another stab, but with pink, which I like a little bit more.
Oh, I know you're kind of, you lean toward pink if it appeals to you. It depends on the shade of pink, depends on how it's used.
But I had never done something in a hot pink color, so I wanted to try that. Also, I found this fabric thrifting a few months ago, which I just thought was the perfect color for your sketch.
Well, that's one of the things that you have your eye open for. What can I find?
I've also been watching a lot of older movies now that I'm more into vintage fashion. I try to take in more vintage content than I did before. And this dress really reminded me of Audrey Hepburn when she played Sabrina.
Oh, yeah.
It really reminded me of some of those scenes and just her general style. Yeah. And that really inspired me.
Another version of this, maybe with a little less of the bouffant part. If somebody were having a wedding where they only had 2 or 3 bridesmaids, they might want to, and it's a summer wedding, they might want to see something about this design that could be very appealing and very different.
Definitely.
So, the people who see it can really kind of get a new idea about how they might want to use part of it or all of it. And sometimes there's occasions coming up for people where they go, that would work out beautifully. And boy, would I have a nice response for it.
I hope so. I would love for people to take inspiration and try to take a stab at this themselves. The hardest part about creating this design, and if someone goes to try to recreate this design, the struggle they're going to run into is trying to make sure that the centerpiece right here is the same length as the rest of the tutu.
Yeah.
So what I ended up doing, because I had to do is I had to stuff and hand sew layers of tulle right here so that it kind of lifted and
so that it would go with the rest of the bouffant on either side.
Because otherwise this fabric, you're gonna run into the issue where the heavier fabric is gonna be weighed down more on the dress. Right. And so it's gonna be different.
True.
Different lengths. So you have to stuff some extra tulle.
Goodness gracious. It has an airy, a very sweet area.